And welcome back. This is a continuation from the first video on how to run descriptive statistics in SPSS. I want to just start off by creating a variable called job performance because in the research of these 580 individuals, we were interested in how they would perform on the job and whether their personality would predict how they would perform. So we created a variable called extroversion, as you could see here in the variable view. And now I would like to see job performance, which is the outcome variable. So does personality, i.e. extroversion, predict performance, which is the outcome variable? So you would say transform compute variable and scroll down to all the different questions in your survey, and JP is job performance. So you click on JP1 and you shift it over with a plus, JP2 plus, JP3. Each of these JPs are a single question in the job performance section of my survey. So I want to make sure that I include all the job performance questions to give me an indication of an employee's overall job performance. And you separate each item or question with a plus sign. Don't forget to name the variable. We'll call it job underscore performance. You might be asking, why are we using an underscore? Well, SPSS is quite sensitive to spaces. So if there was a space or a blank space between job and performance, it would not register or would include an error. So we're just going to call it job performance and say, okay. Now, if you go to your variable view, you'll see that job performance has been created. So each time you transform and compute a variable, it lands up in your variable window. Right, so simply analyze descriptive statistics, run descriptives, and we can do it on job performance, say OK, and the job performance descriptive statistics is included the minimum, the maximum, the mean. That is for the total scale. So for a person's total job performance, the minimum was 13 and the maximum was 35. If there were, I think there were 6 or 7 questions and they were rated on a 7-point scale. 7 times 5 is 35, so that's the highest you could get if you answered a 5 on each. And you could also look at it at a more fine-grained level, descriptive statistics, descriptives, reset, and we include all the job performance items from JP1 to JP7. You move it over and you say okay. Well, let's actually see what other options we've got. Minimum, maximum, standard deviation. Yes, so we want measures of dispersion. We'd also like the mean or the average. Distribution is very important. Skewness and kurtosis. We'd like to see if our data followed a normal bell-shaped curve. And we say okay. And this gives us a fine-grained analysis of each question making up the job performance scale. So as I said in the previous video, minimum and maximum are quite important to inspect. If you use the rating scale ranging from 1 to 5, you want to correspond that in your analysis to see that for each question, the minimum was a 1 and the maximum was a 5. If it was 55 as a maximum, you know that there might be a typo in your data entry, and therefore cleaning your data is so essential before running formal analyses. It also provides the mean statistic for each question, with JP5 having the lowest average. So if you look at JP5 in your questionnaire, it will say a particular statement, and this is the question where people scored the lowest on. And conversely, question JP3 was the highest item average. So on a scale from 1 to 5, people said 4.48 on question JP3. That's the highest that they scored in this survey. Skewness and kurtosis, the values are within normal range. Well, actually, kurtosis is a little bit out. It's 3.8 to 3.9, and that is quite concerning. It's a little bit higher than expected, but not too problematic. Right, so now let's analyze the reliability of our instruments that we've just created. The reliability refers to the internal consistency of the scale, so how consistent it is in giving us accurate results. If I use the job performance questionnaire in future, will it perform reliably or consistently? Will it give me a consistent reading of an individual's job performance? And we can inspect that using Cronbach's alpha. You go to Analyze, Scale, Reliability Analysis, and now you need to decide which scale you're looking at. We are choosing the extra version. Sorry, you would just actually choose the items that make up extroversion. So E1 to E12, shift that over, and the scale label is the extroversion scale. Statistics, we want the descriptive statistics for the item, per item, and the scale as a whole, as well as the scale if the item is deleted. It's important, but overall you would report the scale's reliability. Depending on what type of research you're embarking on, you would either look at it at an item level, or if the item is deleted, what happens to overall scale. But that's more for validation studies, which none of you are doing in the transport and logistics field. So we'd say continue. And the model that we're choosing is alpha, Cronbach alpha. There are other forms of reliability, but for today, we'll just be focusing on Cronbach's alpha, most popularly used measure of internal consistency. Right, so this is for the extroversion scale. It's got the reliability statistics in the second table. You see over here, we've just performed this reliability statistics. And the Cronbach's alpha is 0.786. It's a acceptable reliability value. Generally, anything above 0.7 is acceptable, depending on the discipline that you're in, but in the social sciences or transport and logistics, 0.7 seems to be an acceptable value. And we're quite happy with that reliability as the total job performance questionnaire. It also gives you the statistics for each item or question. And if we go here, the overall average item to total statistics, this is a Cronbach alpha if the item is deleted. So if we look at the original Cronbach alpha is 0.786. If we had to remove any of these questions from the extroversion section, what would happen to the overall reliability? Would it increase or decrease? If any of these values in the last right column increase, it means that we could potentially remove that item. But as I said, this is beyond the purpose of your guys' research. But for demonstration's sake, if you look at E2, if we remove that item, the Cronbach alpha for the scale would increase to 0.797. So it would move from 0.786 to 0.797. That means that we should potentially remove that item if we had to cut down the questionnaire, but we're not doing that. It's not a translation study where you want to validate and adapt an assessment, but just generally speaking, you would only report this. The Cronbach alpha for the extroversion scale was 0.786, or just round it off to 0.79. We could do the same thing for the job performance survey. You go to scale, reliability, reset. You choose the items that made up job performance. You can hold in shift and you move it over and you say okay. And the reliability for the job performance scale was 0.771, which is acceptable. And that is how you would conduct a reliability analysis.